Good evening, and welcome to Thank You for Today. That's a little better. We might run with that one. Excuses. They're bisexual. No, I says, what does that mean? That's my Bruce Lipton impression. There will be more, many more impressions. It means excuses go both ways. Sometimes we make excuses not to do things that we know we need to do. And sometimes we make excuses to do things we know we shouldn't do. Uh, 2 nights ago, I was on a Reddit thread researching science and seeing the common conception through the public opinion on things. It was a rather active comment thread. And in a way, I was seeking an excuse to do one of those things I knew I shouldn't do. And I've structured for myself a pretty rigid prison of discipline and perhaps felt that I was not reaping the rewards of the work that I was doing, and thought to myself, well, why not? Well, this is why not. The following series. The excuses, they honestly, that needs a whole episode in itself. But so I maintain the belief in uh, power of the work that I'm doing. That belief is a very important thing. On the following morning, which was yesterday, I may have had one of the best days of my life, if not at least the most important day of my life. And I can't say how it would have went if I made that excuse to do something I knew I shouldn't do. I can't say that it was a blessing from the universe for passing a test and they were like, here you go, child. But either way, I was proud of myself for staying within my system and trusting the process. Shout out Miguel Torres. Trusting the process is where the faith and the belief comes into practice. Uh, I've probably started more ventures and creative projects than the average person will in their entire lifetime. And I can't say how long I'm going to live, but hopefully quite a bit longer, and I'll be able to triple or quadruple everything that I've done so far. But it really is a unbelievable amount of things that I have done so far that I didn't finish. I started when I was a little kid, a series of short stories, and then I moved on to even before that, I did like comic character drawings. I feel like I invented Pokemon cards. Literally, I did this series on this little squares, these little rectangles of paper of different characters, and gave them little stories and stuff. And then did the short stories. Then kind of combined the two in a way and did like a series of comic drawings, but more like a not really a comic book, but like a comedy comic book. Just like I feel like I invented memes. I was probably like 8, 9, 10 years old, and it was just what you would see today in meme form, but on the size of an 8 by 11 page, 8.5 by 11, and then upgraded and got into the 21st century got my hands on a camcorder and felt like I was M. Night Shyamalan meets Judd Apatow, plus half a cow, because that's how much I weighed. But look at me now. Flat out. Ours. And it was awesome having the camera then. I was heavily influenced by Mad TV and Saturday Night Live and In Living Color, all sketch comedy shows, variety shows. And thought to myself, that looks like a ton of fun. That's right up my alley. I would love to do that. So I did that in my own way with the camera, utilizing so many different friends as characters and you know, actors and cameramen occasionally and stuntmen and all sorts of things. It was very, very fun. And man, I want to take this one was supposed to be a short one too because I'm super duper tired wearing three different colors of brown like my grandpa RIP. My dad used to say that he was colorblind, so he'd wear like five different colors of orange and thought they all matched. I think that's fly. Just saying, throwing it out there. I wish I had four more colors of brown on right now. I actually got brown slippers on too. Look at that. I got four colors of brown on, so I'll just a couple away. Mm. But two friends that were in the videos no longer with us. One of them helped me turn the VHSs into DVDs, and we got a couple of copies of the DVDs in multiple states to one of my friend's cousins in New Hampshire or Connecticut or something like that. So I felt like I was going worldwide, and I planned on broadcasting these movies, these sketch comedy mixtapes that I made in our local movie theater and inviting all my friends and family and selling tickets to other participants, but obviously giving it away on the hookup to the homies and whatnot. But I never followed through with it on the movie theater side. I continued doing what I was doing with the sketch comedy and still felt really confident about it, like it was going somewhere. It was great. People who I guess didn't have a bias or an obligation to laugh still seemed to really enjoy it. So I felt like I had something. Uh, Even a couple of sketches that I did, I saw ending up on TV later in weird places. I did this little sketch that I was tentatively calling Jungle Feet, and I saw the exact same sketch, but in a different location instead of my front yard. It was like New York City or whatever on the Andy Milonakis show. Rocket in a locket, cream cheese in my pocket, and eventually some nefarious activity took place in my front yard. Criminal behavior of sorts, the police might say, and nosy neighbors had to squash the fun that was occurring because they weren't living lives of their own. And while filming the sketch comedy, my third or fourth tape, which was just about 90% done, was being used to film this. Uh, well, it was a fight between children going down in my front yard, and the cops came and got a real good kick out of the stuff that was on the tape. I'm sure not just the fight itself, which was spectacularly captured, and in some retrospect, oh, I regret participating in that fashion and allowing it to happen that way. But it was a different life that I was living back then, and if everything didn't happen that way, I guess everything wouldn't be the way that it is now. And hopefully, this is still going somewhere, the human narrative. But the cops ended up breaking the camera and confiscating the tape, so I lost, all my recent material. And that would not be the first or the last time that something like that happened where suffered a great loss and had to make a great sacrifice. But in in that scenario, it seemed karmic retribution was served in a way. I had an opportunity to stash the tape, but felt like I was going to get shot in the back by the popo, so I just stopped in my tracks and, well, these are the things we live with. Anyway, my friend today, still very good friend, was fairly injured in the altercation and remained on the premises after the chaos had cleared. And I think most people would have been really beside themselves, really, really angry, and lashing out in anger and rage at everyone and everything that they could, that they'd just, lost their passion project and, um, they weren't necessarily the participant in the criminal behavior, just the location that it took place. And instead of kicking the friend out or yelling at him, I invited him inside and cleaned him up myself like a nurse's aide with a hot washcloth, a damp washcloth, and, you know, uh, isopropyl alcohol, hydrogen peroxide, whatever. Gave him some Neosporin and some Band-Aids, fixed them all up. Let him wait till his dad came to pick him up, and I think his dad knew then what a good friend he had. But started so many other things after that project. I did end up getting another camera, filming more sketch comedy, putting it on YouTube. I stopped when my mom didn't want me to put a billboard in the corner of the yard because one of my jokes was racist. Even though, again, I had crossed state lines with my energy and efforts to promote the product and printed out hundreds of flyers and distributed them all over the place. And I don't really think I got a single view from passing out the flyers, but it was a fun time doing it. All about the journey, not the destination. Sometimes, most times, as long as the destination is not throwing up. Excuse me one moment. Well, I gave up on the childlike sketch comedy and the YouTube sketch comedy, and I started to tell myself that maybe, and it's not so much that I didn't have the comedic ability. I wasn't saying that when I said comedy's not for me, but I was saying to myself that perhaps comedy isn't my destiny as much as it has shaped me. It has influenced me in a negative way. I've spoken briefly about comedy, and I will speak at much greater length about comedy in the future. But as unusually as the universe works, my first paid gig is about to be a stand-up comedy show. So still doing the comedy, and we'll always throw it in there, no matter what I'm doing. Feel like even my rap has a lot of humorous lines in it. Um, even if I was just going to be a concert pianist where I didn't say a single word for hours of the show, I would speak in between and say a couple of funny things. I feel like, but started so many art projects and building projects and uh, just massive undertakings. Started the Instagram thing, the 83 different characters, turned the Instagram thing into rap, and haven't posted on that since October. It is now March. posting the improv piano on this, and now we got a vlog. Just always switching gears one way or another. But in reality, I haven't given up on anything. I haven't really stopped any of these things. They've just changed forms, and I still recognize them as the same thing. But I think other people would say, "Oh, you gave up on this, you gave up on that." I never gave up. I just gave it a different costume, and it's still the same thing. But it was a lot easier when I was younger, and there were more people around me to help. As I said, when I was younger, there was constantly a wealth of friends around. And so I felt like I had everybody that I need. There was nothing that I was seeking for, knowing that I was seeking. I had my cameraman, I had my stunt man, I had my co-pilot, I had my editor and my digital engineer and marketing and distribution team. And um, I didn't have to handle everything. I could just be the star of the show, the writer, the creator, and the director. That sounds like a lot, but oh, that's nothing compared to what I got going on now. So on that note, tell me down in the comments below if you my team. Hook me up. Hit me up in the DMs on Instagram. The Church of Odd Hearts underscore between each word. Space, whatever. But all of these people that I thought would be friends for life, and on top of that, be able to maintain some professional relationships with them. Many have long since vanished, some from the earth and just some from my sphere of socialization. And now I need all those things. I have to seek elsewhere outside of my circle of influence, and I think that's a good thing in many ways. Really looking forward to finding my team. I've written down recently because they talk about the subconscious programming, and don't get me wrong, I've been saying the first few episodes, manifestation this, manifestation that. It really is real. It really is real. You can reprogram your subconscious mind, but beyond that, you can you can will things into existence, will smith things into existence if you just try hard enough, and every single day, every single day. That's the difference. So many of these things, whether or not I gave up on them or I took a break on them, I took too long of a break to continue making an incrementally and exponentially growing impact. I did the Instagram comedy for such a short time and felt like if I didn't give up on that from the moment that I did and was still doing that now, I I'd probably have a television show already. I'd probably be in movies. And at very minimum, I'd have income coming in through merchandise or consumer relationships, and that would be terrible. So I'm glad that I'm not doing that. But I mean, how else do you monetize having 1 million followers on Instagram when your product is given away for free? Uh, Obviously, create a product that's not just a total sellout, soulless piece of garbage like hats and sweatshirts and coffee mugs, coasters and mouse pads and all the stupid stuff that people be merching up nowadays, putting their stupid logo on literal, P65 label junk. It's gonna be thrown away by one generation or another. Certainly not a priceless heirloom. Nothing you need to spend your money on. Well, certainly. It's nice to rep people and give people notoriety, but when you wear a t-shirt of your favorite podcaster, do you really think anyone's gonna like go home and YouTube that or go home and Google that after they say, "Oh, that was a super cool shirt. What is that?" Maybe if you're at a rave, Rifey, and everyone's on the love drugs, then you'll get a couple of views for them, folks, for sure, because you're a luminescent billboard of love, and people want to know what that's about. But At least if you do buy some merch from one of these goobers, make sure it's a good person doing good things with their money and they're working hard for what they're doing and it's a good cause. 'Cause there's a lot of people out there that are just laughing at you for being dumb enough to buy their junk that they never touched to begin with. Used artificial intelligence to design it, sent it out to a third party company to produce it, manufacture it, distribute it, and then they just get a dividend. It's ridiculous. Terrible disease. But so following through, not giving up. Don't make excuses not to do things that you know you need to do. Don't make excuses to do things you know you shouldn't do. You will be rewarded, and you may not see it immediately, and that's the problem. We lose sight of the long term, and most people don't remember 2 days ago, let alone what they were hoping for 2 years ago. You know, tell me down below in the comments if you remember three things you were hoping for 2 years ago. Because if you don't remember, how do you know if they came true or not? This is why focus is important. We're not even paying attention to all the things that we've received that we've asked for because we forgot we asked for them. So this recency bias, if we're not continually associating ourselves with something, then we won't even see it when we're looking right at it. It's like the blue dot principle. It's a it's a theory through an illustrative practice that basically demonstrates you ask a group of people to look for something that even when it's not there, they find it. So if you're not looking for something, even when it's there, you won't find it. But if you are looking for something, even if it's not there, you'll find it. Again, the power of belief. So basically, they showed these people a bunch of blue dots and said, find the blue dots. And it was easy. And of course, they found the blue dots. And then they showed them less and less blue dots until they started showing them nothing but vaguely purple dots and, things that could be misconstrued as blue, but not blue. And most people said that they were blue just because they were looking for it. So again, all these things are a matter of perspective. And knowing that you can change yours and shape yours through knowledge is what makes knowledge powerful. But ultimately, the belief and the application of the knowledge is what implicates its power. So maintain faith and trust in your process. If you think all things are wavering to the wayside and everything's shaking down to the ground, just do that hard thing that you know you need to do. And the next day might be the best day of your life, like mine was yesterday, or at least the most important day. And I should say, as if anyone might misinterpret, the best day of my life so far. I plan to have a lot of better days and a lot better days. Yesterday was remarkable and spectacular in in no small way. And this video is going to be a pretty darn long one if I talk about all the things that happened in it. It'd sound like a whole week. Wouldn't sound like a day. Like one of those dreams where you wake up and you feel more tired than when you went to bed because it felt like you were dreaming for like multiple days, not just one evening. So next video, even though it'll be 2 days behind, because yesterday was so amazing and filled with events and hard work that I did not do the vlog for the first time, the podcast, the talk show. So give the best day of all time so far its own thing tomorrow. But yeah, just I know I didn't say as far as like the manifesting thing, the thing that I just wrote down. I wrote down because I guess wording is very important when it comes to programming your subconscious mind. This is why it becomes vital for you to be impeccable with your word. Can't remember what series of laws it is at the moment, but Rifey, you know what I'm talking about. Dizzy Wright did a whole album about these laws, and there aren't very many. So it really is just about following a series of succinct principles and truly sticking to them, and you would be shocked at how much more orderly and beautiful and peaceful your life becomes. And you as a result. Well, you change first and then everything else changes afterwards. But uh so I kept saying, I hope my team comes soon, or I'm looking forward to finding my team, or I can't wait until help arrives or whatever. But I guess that's one of those programs of wanting as opposed to having. And it sounds so silly. I rejected it at first. I really didn't want to believe that it was so simple. But all these things in life really are so simple. It's just sticking with them and applying them that's the hard part, because we love to get in our own way as human beings. So I just worded it differently, and I'm going to keep saying it now when I refer to this team that um I don't even want to sabotage it and say, but that is not currently here. So my idea is now that my team is here, they just need directions to the castle. So I just got to give my team directions. They just, they lost out in the sauce somewhere, slurping up that Guy Fieri donkey sauce, but they don't know what I be cooking up. Mm-mm, not yet. They will once I give them directions. And it's just my bad because I haven't given directions. How do they know where to go if I ain't told them this is the place to be yet? That's what it is. Excuse me. So the manifesting ties back into the best day ever, yesterday, best day yet, most important day yet. I could tell you like part one that ties into it. I'll refer back to it to set up when I do the full episode on best day yet. Even just recently, I've revolutionized my idea and understanding of how all of these things govern our reality. But before I had any belief in these concepts, I had some rough approximation of knowledge of these things. But I was building a collection, and that was a project and undertaking in itself. I thought I was going to open a museum. It was a whole thing. And in the process of the curation for the items to this collection, which was also simultaneously allowing me to build my self-worth, I didn't, prior to that, very frequently reward myself or offer myself any good things, like, gifts to myself. And it was something I had to overcome to tell myself I'm worth it. I'm worth these nice things. So I did not really have nice things. But I went overboard, and overboard for multiple reasons, because a couple of the nice things that I really wanted, I said, nah, I ain't worth that much nice things. Not that nice. And so I got a larger volume of lesser things instead of the greater thing that I was truly seeking. And it was only like, I'm not going to tell you the quantity or the number or the thing it was, but it was too many of all of those things, with the exception of the small number of things that I really did want. And out of that small handful, there was one that stood out leaps and bounds beyond the rest. And I actually made it the background on my phone. I don't know if I was trying to tease myself on that 50 cent window shopping. Man, this is the 50 Cent show, I'll tell you. Curtis Jackson gonna be our first guest. Thank you for today. Keep looking up. Don't stop believing. Trust in the process. And whether or not I was window shopping or teasing myself or had some maybe even subconscious knowledge in the supercomputer of the brain that I didn't even know existed really. And that'll get its own episode when I'm back on track and just doing episodes and not doing daily updates and stuff like that. And more organized, more organization coming soon. Y'all don't even know. So this thing was on the background of my phone for 2 years, and the whole time you know, I'm not consciously thinking that I'm gonna obtain this at any point because it really was kind of like an unattainable thing in more ways than one. Not just the financial blockade of it, but it was a very elusive item that most people wouldn't have been able to purchase even if they had the money. It took a series of events and bolstering of relationships through being a cool dude like I am to get access. And I ended up getting it. So I turned that background on my phone that I thought would never be a reality into a reality just by looking at it every day. I didn't even realize what I was doing, but I was looking at it, dozens of times a day, every single day for 2 years. So if you really want something, I do suggest this. Try this out. And it's not going to be an immediate thing. You're not going to tell me tomorrow because you made the background on your phone that thing you wanted that you got it. It's not how it works. And I can't tell you if it's going to be 2 years from now or 5 years from now or 10 years from now. But if you truly dedicate yourself to the belief in this, you will have that thing that is the background on your phone if you do it. Try it out. Tell me down in the comments below 5 years from now, 10 years from now, when you got that thing that's the background on your phone and you're like, holy crap, it really works. I would love to see somebody say that. That'd be amazing. Part two to the manifesting and the museum and all those other things I threw together. And 50 Cent getting a part two too. He always getting a part two. But belief is extraordinary. And it cannot be denied. It is undeniable. So many of, I think, the most potent examples of power of belief are people who are literally lost at sea. Because you could say somebody who's stranded on a desert island can get coconuts, could maybe filter some water or, build some shelter and do some things. Be on land, for one. Get some shade. Maybe even grow some things. Who knows if you Johnny Appleseed and walking around with the seeds in your pocket. People who are lost at sea die from fear and panic and hopelessness before they really die from heat exhaustion and dehydration and malnourishment. Those negative states will tear your body apart when it is on that fragile fence of life. Maintaining a sense of calm is what helps you survive those impossible to win events. So there are people that have been lost at sea by themselves for days that defy the laws of human physiology. They should be dead because all they had to drink was seawater. And maybe if they were lucky, an Asian carp hopped up on their thing. And that sushi will go a long way. But still, people that were, I can't claim a duration of time and be accurate. If you research it, I think you'll surprise yourself how long people have spent out there with absolutely nothing but themselves and their system of beliefs. So the stronger your beliefs are, the more resilient you are, the more that you can survive. It's a combination of so many things. And in a way, even though we're not all literally lost at sea, I have used this metaphor in conversation many times before. Excuse me. Even though we are not all lost at sea, many of us are landlocked, not near a major body or a moving source of water. In a way, spiritually, the unobservable quotient and phenomenon of the universe that is just as important, if not maybe even more important to all of the things that we can see. Sorry about that. Sometimes the universe pulls me away for a little side chat. You have to suspend your idea of what is in order for this to truly work. Because what is what is. And what you want is probably not what is right now. So believe something different. If you are not able to believe the unbelievable, then most of this will be nonsense to you. If you don't believe in things like the soul and the spirit to begin with, then you've got some work to do. But it is more difficult to figure out how to best exercise and feed the appetite of the soul and the spirit. But once you find your system of belief, rock with it, stick with it. It really doesn't matter if you're a Pastafarian or, and I'm not even necessarily referring to religious beliefs. Shout out Bill Maher. But what works for you because it works for you. It's just, it's that simple. And if it's working for you, keep doing it. But if you know that it's not working for you, switch it up. You don't have to restructure your entire belief system, but a small tweak here and there goes a really long way. Really, really long way. Your beliefs can really only be tested through struggle and suffering, like surviving a month out on sea by yourself on a wooden raft, getting sunburned, drinking seawater, eating jellyfish, and man of wars, because you're a boss. And that's how much suffering you can handle. But it's amazing how much there is a correlation between people surviving really horrendous things and living the fullest of lives afterwards, both both in the amount of time that they lived and the life that they lived within that time. Again, excuse me. I very soon I will have cool subtitles down below that's probably just running through what I'm saying so people can read it. And in case the microphone skips or blips and doesn't pick up what I'm saying, I noticed it missed a couple of things. Obviously, in the first three episodes, it missed everything, but even in the last couple that you haven't seen yet, there's a couple parts where it cut out. And just when I'm yawning and having my side chats with the universe, I'll just put like a little buffering logo or like, you know, the Illuminati hitting me with the mind warping gun, but just a cute little ray gun emoji or something like that. I hate that word. It's actually a kind of a cool sounding word, emoji, but what it stands for, I'm not a fan of. The reduction of communication into imagery, even though language, as I said, is, um, it has its obstacles. I still much prefer words to communicating in pictures. When someone sends you like dolphin, Easter Island head statue, volleyball, blue jay, and you're just supposed to know what that means. It could just mean so many more things. That's art at that point. Some people out there making emoji art. And if that's your belief and that's working for you, all right, I guess you can stick with it. But be careful what you're telling people with it. Even though yesterday was the best day yet, today was a trying one, a tiring one. I'm very tired. I can't wait to feel like I can sleep in and to be comfortable sleeping and be sleeping next to someone. Let me know down in the comments below if that's you. Be rad, you put the ski mask on. Don't ask. Theo Vaughn. Someday, Brad, when all this gets together in a more orderly presentation, do a whole routine about you with a ski mask and your dating strategy, your dating approach with the ski mask, Brad. But I feel rejuvenated though, even though I'm tired. And that's all it takes, just the 2 days of believing to watch everything all come together all at the same time. You'll hear about that tomorrow or whenever I post the next video. I guess in summation, I really do feel sometimes when I'm talking, and not so much in the physical concepts, but more in the metaphysical concepts and the larger, broader, grander concepts as well. Sometimes it's like the universe don't want me to tell it, or don't want me to fully know it or figure it out. Because sometimes I figure things out through speaking in conversation with people. I'm very fortunate to have a gift with communication, so it's very free flowing, and I don't have to think too much. It just comes naturally. And sometimes I'm able to come to great realizations and epiphanies through saying things, and it's just that aha moment, the light bulb clicks on, and all has come clear. Sometimes the universe doesn't want all to become clear. There are struggles that you are meant to endure, and truth that you are not meant to know. And even if you do find this truth, the truth becomes another truth that you are meant to know after that. It just leads you to another journey that is longer than you have left to figure out. I was speaking with friend Jim, and he repeatedly asserted the unknowability of so many things in life, but that made it really beautiful for him. It's one of those things that keeps him going in life. It's just the joy of pondering these things and knowing that they won't be solved. If you solved it tomorrow, why not die the day after that? Because you got it all done and you got nothing left to think about or look forward to or ponder. It's really what it is about maintaining a balance of almost really having an unattainable goal so you could work the rest of your life for it and never get it, knowing that it is the journey and not the destination that is the meaningful and the meaningful and valuable part of life. And so when I talk about things like the universe and consciousness and existence and the nature of reality and just how things work, how everything works. I don't really anymore so much. I feel like I've figured some things out, but I get this eerie feeling in the pit of my stomach. And it was almost like it was pulling me away from the thought or the idea that I was trying to convey. Like, and it wasn't to say that I wasn't supposed to just tell that person in that room the thing. Like, it's not like, oh no, you're going to lead the person on the wrong path if you give them this information, but it's almost things that no person is meant to know because it would defeat the purpose of life. And that's why I've always become reasonably infuriated when I see some of the areas we spend billions of dollars in science when there's so many other problems to be throwing that money at. Uh, I know there's some mathematicians out there that might get upset when I say I see no value in studying and defining the infinitesimally small, almost equally as there is no value in defining the infinitely large. The very definition of infinity speaks to the mockery of attempting to capture it. You can't. But no matter, how far outwards we look, how far inwards we look, we find these same systems replicated, different sizes and different forms, and sometimes in their visual embodiment, strikingly similar to the point where, as my brother would say, there are no coincidences. It is beyond coincidence. Some of the similarities between these systems that are completely and totally different things. How a tree with its leaves stripped by the chill of fall looks exactly like a river pouring out into its tributaries from a distant aerial view, or looks like the neurons and synapses and these parts of the brain that light with electrical activity under encephalograms or other such devices. It's just there's no other word for it but to say miraculous. So how much farther outwards do we need to go to know that we can't go any further outwards, or that there is no end to it? How much further inwards do we need to go to realize that we can't go inwards any further and there is no end to it? Currently, the smallest thing that we can look at is subatomic particles. But once upon a time, we could only look at atoms, and once upon a time, we could only look at cells, and once upon a time, we could only look at what we could see with the naked eye. I feel that was a better place to be, more than likely. But so say we figure out some advancement in technology, some inconceivable optic that allows us to see what is to the subatomic level, what the subatomic level is to the atomic level already. Say we're able to see inside of a subatomic particle. What if we find out it's just another subset of infinitely smaller subatomic particles, or even another entire universe? What if we peek in there and find our own universe inside of a singular subatomic particle? I feel like that would just be like the theory that when matter and dark matter collides, that it just tears the tapestry of the universe apart like a blanket just blowing away in the Grand Canyon winds, and there's nothing left. But, I thought to myself at once upon a time, but this is again this sort of self-defeating logic and why your beliefs are so important. I thought the universe really didn't want me to know those things, so I thought felt this sense of impending and imposing darkness, and thought like, is there a tiny little piece of dark matter in my mind that if I center it in the you know Italian broccoli fractal pattern of the pineal gland in one particular pixel, then it meets, the dark matter meets matter, and from the center of my pineal gland, the entire universe is tearing apart. Or is it just me that's torn apart if I figure out this thing, just spontaneous combustion, or I just ascend directly to heaven like Ray Lewis at the 50-yard line? Shout out Keenan Thompson. I don't know, but I think a lot of these things are knowable, but you just realize there's no point in knowing them. What do these things really do for you? If you enjoyed the journey of experiencing the the difficulty in gaining this knowledge, then the journey was worthwhile. But and maybe that just ain't my bag. That ain't my cup of tea. But I find those pursuits to be foolish. I think there are better places in the world, in space, within ourselves, and all of these things, how they are interrelated. Much better things to pay attention to and to look at that would help yourself and help the world more. I don't think anyone figuring out protons, neutrons, electrons, leptons, and whatnot, shout out Val Kilmer, has really saved anybody. If anything, it's probably killed a lot more people because, like I was saying last episode, they like turning everything into a weapon. Is this a weapon? Is this a weapon? Is this what's wrong with America? Is this what's wrong with America? Partly. But so, in other words, everybody wants to find a problem, find a belief, find a journey. You don't have to find a problem. Life is not a problem to be solved, but a gift to be experienced. And I promise you, if you think it's a problem to be solved and not going to have a lot of fun, it's going to be really frustrating. It's going to be hard for everyone around you. It's going to be really hard for you. And you'll find, sorry again, my apologies. And you'll find once you solve that problem, there'll just be another problem to be solved. Or the problem will unsolve itself. The mind will create a new problem where there isn't even one to begin with. Doesn't even exist. You just manufacture it. Blue dot. Blue dot principle. If you're looking for problems, you'll find problems. If you're looking for solutions, you'll find solutions. I'm looking to make dreams come true. And I made no shortage of half a dozen human beings' dreams come true yesterday. 7 to be exact. And that's just so far. what stems from what happened yesterday. Now, again, I keep saying could change the world, could change the world, but could change my world. But my world is about to get a whole lot bigger from what happened yesterday because I didn't give up on my beliefs. I didn't betray my beliefs on top of that. And I was bountifully blessed. And I want to hear you say the same thing down in the comments. I would love to hear it. Shout out your blessings down below. Like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell. Don't do that. Don't hit the notification bell. I actually really don't want you to do that. Turn your phone on silent. But when you think of me or when you got an hour to spare, click on one of my vids and I would really, really appreciate it. But do please like, subscribe, you know, do that thing. So I'm still not at 400 subscribers yet. They must have heard me though. Say it is true. Be careful what you wish for. Because I was complaining a couple of months ago that, oh, you can't do a community post unless you have 500 subscribers on YouTube. Apparently you can now. So I should have had bigger standpoint to climb over. That's day by day. Getting it right, making it right, keeping it tight. Because if you know better, do better. And if you know something, you owe something. That's my bro. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you for today. That one was a little rougher than the first one. Just keep looking up. Trust the process. Don't stop believing. Hold on to that feeling. Everything's gonna be all right. I love you. Have a good night. I'll see you tomorrow. Farewell.